My boy Momiji put on a show this week, snapping those bonds. Unexpectedly, Bunny Boy ends up free, but at a cost where everything about being free is kind of painful. You can't really go back to that family, you can't have the girl you love, but there's probably a future out there that's worth smiling for and progressing toward. Momoji was definitely the star of this episode, no questions asked, but I do have to jump into Shigure and Akito before we jump into that content, because personally for me, Shigure is my favorite aspect of the final season, without a doubt the most intriguing aspect about this arc, and as a whole, Akito is without a doubt my favorite aspect of Fruits Basket, because without Akito, well, there's no Fruits Basket, right? And for me personally, I've never loved the character as much as I love Shigure, while simultaneously hating a character as much as I hate Akito, yet all at the same time want to see them together. Now, what's so fascinating to me is that essentially none of these characters can truly be free and have a chance at happiness until the bonds are broken, till what was taught to Akito as a kid from seemingly her father and the fact that she is literally God to these people, essentially the God complex needs to go away, and that is by breaking all the bonds that are these spiritual connections, so these fake connection, these fake walls towards them will no longer be there, and true bonds can be formed. Some will probably stay as far away from Akito as possible. Here's looking at Nguyen, given the attempted murder not once but twice on her life. And then you have other characters like Shigure who will probably willing to give it an honest-to-go shot if Akito will stop banging his cousins and things like that and give him an actual relationship. So it's so interesting where certain characters have different types of kind of kindness towards her. You have some that is fake, like Kurno. Kurno gives her that fake love because he feels bad, and that's just how it is. You have, of course, a boy who gives more of like a nurturing father love because he is a doctor, he takes care of her. And every time Shigure and Akito come into contact, it seemingly is leaving worse and worse marks on her. And I love the line when he says, "I can't be her father," because he clearly has romantic feelings towards Akito. And when he talks to Toru saying maybe I should have just settled for someone like you, because that has to hurt, how long he's waited for something to change. And then you have characters like Toru who are just so bubbly and positive, right? And he's saying, wow, I really fell in love with someone who treats me like shit and I treat her like shit. And it's just a very toxic situation that honestly, who knows where it's actually going, but the heart wants what it wants, even if that heart is black as black can be, right? So it's so fascinating to watch that type of relationship unfold, and I truly believe by the time this story is over, Shigure and Akito will have some form of connection in a romantic sense, and hopefully Akito's bonds will break, she'll be able to actually have her own feelings, no longer kind of drawn to people just because they were magically connected to her. But it's great to see that type of relationship brewing, and seriously, without a doubt, Shigure is my favorite part of the season, and easily one of my top picks for best characters in Fruits Basket. Now, Momiji, it's very interesting because if you would have rewound back into Season 1, most people were like, oh, Kyo versus, obviously Yuki, will be the love feud, the love triangle between Toru, right? And no one ever really thought Momiji would actually be the true love triangle. And it's very interesting too, because rather than Momiji being a scumbag or someone who's trying to just wait it out, seeing like, oh, hopefully eventually Toru will just realize that Kyo can't be hers or something like that, or I'm just going to try to rip him away. Momoji simply says, like, would you really want someone to steal her away? Or when the happiest day of his life should be, my bonds breaking means very little in compared to if your bonds broke, because if your bonds broke, you and Toru could have this very happy life. For me, she would be happy for me, but it's not the type of connection I want. And I love how, instead of going that typical, here's the love triangle route, it's simply a boy who had a glow up, looking fresh, looking exciting. Bunny Boy has freedom, but it's going to be a long time before he has true happiness. But now that that bond is gone, he can actually just live a life for once. And I like how it's unexpected. Even though we've been building up naturally for that bond breaking, we've seen some shitty things between Akito and Momoji, the slaps, the abuse, to the emotional scarring. The fact that it did just snap, and to see how he handled it and how he loves Toru. It's without a doubt the girl he wants to be with, but he understands that it's not healthy to wait around, it's not healthy to hope for something bad to happen to your family member. She clearly is in love with Kyo, so I'm going to try to bury these feelings, try to get over these feelings, and move on with my life. Not many authors write it in that way, and I think that's why so many people in the early stages of Fruits Basket were thinking that the Yuki and Kyo dynamic were going to be this very unhealthy and just very shoujo style love triangle where someone gets brushed to the side and who cares because they're an anime character. But no, rather than it being a pointless romance love feud, it's simply just a bunch of stories, and some might overlap in the case of Kyo and Momiji, but it's not going to be toxic because it shouldn't be toxic, right? The most toxic element is just the pain in his voice, being like, I wish I could be happy, but honestly, all the connections that kept me here, between all my family members, all of the somas, and seriously, I have nothing right now, but there is a possibility for more. I love that type of writing in Fruits Basket, that rather than just trying to make pointless drama, it would have been so easy to literally create an arc out of Momoji being pissed off and trying to push a wedge between Toru and Kyo. Instead, this man wore it like a badge of honor, saying like, it sucks for me, it really sucks for me, and I am kind of mad at you because I wish I could be you in this situation. However, you best not let her go, because if I can't have her because she loves you, you best give her what she wants, right? It's this very interesting relationship. And that's why I really like the end of the episode, where for a while watching, I was like, oh, is he going to be like Kurno, where he's going to go back because he has nothing, right? Because once that's severed, you understand why some would feel empty, like, what do I do now? I have no connection. But instead, even if it's a lie for himself to believe that the future's worth living, I'm going to push on, I'm not going to give up. And more characters are telling Akito, do you seriously want to stay in this room forever, or do you want to try to build something that's genuine? And it feels like once the last strand has been broken, that's when Akito will kind of finally have true feelings. Out of all these connections, which one do you really want to pursue? Maybe it won't actually be Shigure for her, right? Maybe it won't be anyone, but once the last strand is broke, it will either push her off the edge and make her want to kill herself, or she'll be like Momiji and the others who are trying to find that better tomorrow. And Toru, without it, will be the key to that in order of if something good or bad will happen to Akito. But I am hoping for something good for my boy Shigure. May not like you on a personal level, Akito, but you're a hell of a well-written character, and if my boy Shigure will be happy with you, and you're not going to be an emotional, abusive person, I ship you two. You guys can have a nice, happy life. And seriously, just like watching this episode, the simpler moments, my boy Yuki about to have this really nice moment, and then she has to go supersonic, get out of the way when people barge in, just the numerous of hilarious and sweet interactions. It feels like naturally we're building up to the end. And it feels like it's well paced, it's well earned, and I love how they're kind of like linking everything up, and it almost feels like the last true thing before Akito will probably be Kyo and Toru. Obviously, Kyo hasn't been as centered and focused in the season as of yet, but it makes sense given the large the cast is, so it doesn't bother me. Everyone's getting their ending, everyone feels like their endings are happening naturally, and from Haru last week to now Momiji this week, it just feels like Fruits Basket is on a roll to a satisfying conclusion, and it has me loving every single character almost equally, if I'm being completely honest. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your theories, your speculations, and what was your personal favorite moment in this episode. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, show your support, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.